you so much for staying with us. Here with me in the studio to dive into this report is Chukwusi Ikechukwu, Public Affairs Analyst. We're so glad to have you join us today.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Did you get to see the presidential pardon list yesterday?
I saw it. I think it was even before yesterday. But one really wonders some of those names on that list. What were they supposed to accomplish other than political? Trying to, playing politics, dancing to the gallery. Names like Herbert Macaulay. Those are guys that left this. Yeah, one may say it's symbolic, but was it necessary?
Right.
Yeah, Herbert Macaulay. Everybody knew that the things they went through was normal for a freedom fighter. So they were really not people convicted by the Nigerian state. It was a colonial era thing. So
Now let's talk about people convicted by the Nigerian state. President Bola Tinubu has granted a presidential pardon to Miriam Sanda, who was sentenced to death in 2020 for the murder of her husband, Biliaminu Bello. She received clemency after serving 6 years and 8 months at the Suleja Medium Security Custodial Center. The presidency said Sanda's family appealed for her release on grounds of her good conduct in prison and the welfare of her 2 children. It noted that she had shown remorse and embraced a new lifestyle during her incarceration. Her pardon comes as part of a broader clemency initiative covering 175 Nigerians and foreigners. It includes postmortem pardons for notable figures such as environmental activist Kensaro Wiwa and Major General Maman Vasta, as well as members of the Ogoni Nine. Sanda was convicted by Justice Yusuf Halilu of the FCT High Court in January 2020 for fatally stabbing her husband at their Abuja home. Her appeal was dismissed later that year by the Court of Appeal, which upheld the death sentence. The presidential decision followed recommendations from the Presidential Advisory Committee on the Prerogative of Mercy, chaired by Attorney General Lateef Fagbemi. The pardon has drawn significant public attention, making one of the most far-reaching exercises of presidential mercy in recent years. So social media has been agog with this particular report because, just mixed feelings everywhere. But what do you think about this?
I think it's a horrible decision the presidents have made. Now, no doubt the presidents have the right for, it's called prerogative of mercy.
Exactly.
You can exercise that right to forgive those who have been condemned or who have been, condemned, found guilty of one thing or the other. You see, but this particular exercise, some of the names on the list, apart from those symbolic, you see, everywhere, though the president, everywhere the constitution have that provision for prerogative of mercy, the president, and in Nigeria case, the governor, exercise that authority. Though that power is there for the president to use and whoever the president is, but best practice is that that power is used discretionally, so as not to stir up public discontent. A case where some of the names, according to reports on that pardon list, are convicted drug persons, not one, not two. I heard a particular list say up to 10 of them were convicted drug fellows, and and this particular case, this case is worrisome because these are politically exposed people. And then this argument here that the president said the family appealed to him, it is not exactly in the place of the family. Of course, every family may want to appeal for their person, or put it in a different way. I'm not sure there are too many families who would oppose a prerogative of mercy for their daughter, especially if the crime committed was not against a member of their family. But you see, the thing is this particular murder case is very recent. That sentence was in 2020. It is less than a decade. And why is the time frame important in my thinking is because, for me, the family of the guy and his friends may still be grieving. If you have lost a loved person, especially in such manner, you discover that 10 years down the line is still so much a short time for the grieving family to come out from it. Then when they thought justice had been done, at least by the sentencing, you know, I mean, when we usually say justice is done, it's usually a cold comfort. If you have been a victim of any form of crime or the other, it's usually a cold comfort to what have been lost, especially where life is involved. Right. Now you set the person free because the family said. Usually, where prerogative of mercy is exercised, it's not on account of the family saying our daughter, our son has become remorseful, has become of good conduct. No, it should have actually been the prison authorities, you know, saying that, okay, these people under our custody have shown a change in character. Right. They have shown, you know, remorse. But what I would have thought that in this case, since she was sentenced to death, a prerogative of mercy for her may not have been it would have been commuting her death sentence, maybe to life imprisonment, maybe to some years imprisonment, but definitely not just setting her free immediately. There would have been, you know, allowed time for the wounds to heal. Right. But that's, I don't think, like I said earlier, I don't think the wound on the part of the guy's family has been healed. And like some people have said, like you rightly said, it's all over the place in social media. Like people are now reading this to me is that, you know, of course, which I've also heard that if you're dead, yours is, I mean, you are totally gone for. Even the system does not guarantee you justice, even where justice seems to have been served. Right. So the best thing for you is to try as much as you can to stay alive. I saw all over social media warning going out to men that, hey, come on, if you're a guy, don't allow yourself to be killed in a marriage, because if you die, your wife, especially if she has some influence, maybe, I wonder if this lady, if she's not politically, you know, if the family is not a politically exposed family, if she was just an ordinary person, if she would have gotten this prerogative of mercy for murder cases. Like I keep saying, the crime, there are some crimes you commit, even if mercy wants to be granted, like it shouldn't be a blanket thing like this. If this death sentence was commuted to life in prison, I don't think it would have so much drawn public outcry the way it is done. If it was commuted to say maybe from life in prison to say maybe 20 years in prison, 15 years in prison, by which time the wound would have probably healed on the part of the grieving family, it would have been a little bit different. But for somebody who committed murder, no, this is not manslaughter. It was a deliberate murder.
I don't know if you're really refreshed about how this case played out.
Yes, I followed the incident.
You did follow the case.
When it happened.
The fact that she, you know, he was the late husband, Biliayu, was stabbed 8 times.
Absolutely.
Right, and during the misunderstanding, you know, the family and his friends did come over to the house. I think it was his dad or someone of, you know, of a higher status, maybe her brother or someone came to talk to them to be like, okay, quell the anger. I mean, even if you're upset, you guys should stay and talk about it. And his best friend did tell the court that he insisted that Biliamnu should follow him home that night because he thinks she's still very upset. And the husband said, no, since you guys have spoken to her, she's my wife and I think she has forgiven me. After which, you know, during the proceedings, it was said that she went ahead to stab this man 8 times. What does this look like for justice for us just now? Especially, you remember last week, we did talk about the lady that had, you know, burnt her husband in Akwa Ibom.
Yes,
you know, that
a story that is even taking a different tune.
That is taking a different tune now.
The lady claiming that it was the guy.
Right. As of Friday, a man actually killed his wife in another military barrack and, you know, beat her up to death. In a place where we have a lot of sequences of several domestic violence cases, what does this say for our justice system?
That's the reason why I say, you see, though nobody would argue that the president doesn't have a prerogative of mercy, but usually best practice is you exercise discretion in how you exercise that power. It's one thing for you to have power. I mean, this may be my house and I have the right to move every property here. But in doing that, I also exercise discretion what to move and what not to move, because I know that in moving this, we carry some consequences and others. So in the same way, a president having prerogative of mercy, at least as provided for by Nigerian Constitution, is in no doubt at all. But there should be discretion in how you exercise those discretion of mercy in order not to send a wrong message to the public. The message that has been sent now is that if you are dead, you have a system that may not even stand for, even when the court, unfortunately for us, many people don't even believe in the court as such, but where the court has managed to give a level of hope, political influence could throw all that into the dustbin. So we are creating a situation where people may be encouraged to resort to self-help, which may be dangerous. In this type of case, I mean, even the person that has been so released have to be careful how she enjoys this newfound freedom, because the family of the guy may still be grieving and may not be willing to come to terms to the fact that their son has been betrayed by the system. So yes, the president has the right to prerogative of mercy, but in my thinking, such prerogative of mercy, and indeed every power assigned to anybody by the law, anybody who wields power, should be careful how they exercise that power. Do you have the power? Yes, but careful how you exercise that power so as not to whip up sentiment against such power you rightly have.
Thank you so much. But before we clear out from here, you mentioned the people that were convicted of drugs over time that still got this prerogative. I did read about the kidnapper also that got out, a kidnapper that's kind of like high profile with lots of cases under his belt. Including murder and all of those. Now, when you look at that, and in a system like Nigeria where we lack witness protection, what do you think the fate of witnesses that they stand in courts, to discuss these matters in court openly? What would their fate be?
This is exactly why I said that though the president, the governor have this right, it should be exercised with discretion. You don't just, dish it out like you're spraying money in a party.
Do you think they're going to be giving witness protection now, though, with these people being out, with how high-profile certain cases were?
Well, it is left for such persons maybe to go to court to ask for some sort of protection. But what kind of protection can they even get? These witnesses, I don't know who they are, but would they even have the financial wherewithal to approach court? That means these are the things the president and his advisors should have thought about. The people that stood, that made sure that this matter was successfully prosecuted, what will become their fate if you just grant pardon to these people? Now, these people, you say they have become, and we still live in an era where some of these crimes are still very rampant. We deal with cases of drug every day. We deal with cases of kidnapping just all over the country. There are issues of kidnapping every day. And the ones that the system have managed to convince, you're granting them prerogative of mercy. So the message sounds like you're saying commit whatever crime you may, just be sure that you have the right buttons to press. Even when you are convicted with your political connection or something, with a high-profile connection, you can get a prerogative of mercy. And I don't think that is fine for justice. I don't think that is good for security. Even the security people that, put their life on stake to get some of this conviction, I wonder if they won't feel betrayed. So, like I keep saying, the president have the right to exercise a prerogative of mercy, but care should be taken how such rights are exercised, how such powers are exercised. So you don't send the wrong signal to criminals. So you don't send the wrong, like you're talking about the witness now, people will be careful. If I know something and I stand up to say I know something, and that which I said helped to convict somebody, and tomorrow this guy is granted witness, what becomes of me? I mean, why should I even go take all the pain granting providing witness to help a system? Absolutely, a system that does not need my evidence, that will eventually rubbish every effort. So I don't think those who advise the president did a thorough job. If not, some of the names we saw on that list wouldn't have been there. Thank
you so much for your insight on that report. Ebonyi State Police Command has arrested a man identified as Chukuma Unwe for allegedly selling his 5-day-old baby boy for 1.5 million naira. Unwe, a native of Unwezinyi Igbeagu in Easy local government area was apprehended alongside the buyer, Mrs. Chinyere Oguchukwu. Police spokesperson SP Joshua Okandu confirmed the arrest, noting that the suspects were picked up at the Uzugu area of Abakaliki. The baby was recovered safely from the buyer and has now been reunited with his mother, Mrs. Philomena Iroko. According to police findings, Onwe took the baby from his wife under the guise of seeking medical care, but instead sold him to Ugochukwu. He later lied to his wife that the baby had been handed over to his sister for proper care. Okandu stated that both suspects are in custody as investigations continue. He assured the public that the police will ensure justice is served. The incident has sparked outrage in the community, raising concerns about child trafficking networks in the region. Authorities have vowed to intensify efforts to clamp down on such criminal activities. What would make a father pick up his 5-day-old child and trade the child for 1.5 million? Let's talk about it.
We didn't hear what was the reaction of the mother when she was told that her child has been handed over to his sister for proper care. What does that mean? What does proper care mean? A 5-day-old baby should still be suckling. A 6-year-old baby at 13, at 18, at 20, even at 25. I wonder what she would have told my mom, that you have handed me over to somebody to take care of me. And I mean, that was not a discussion. So I would have really wanted the story if the story had told us something about the reaction of the woman, because it's like, how do you tell a woman that her 5-day-old has been handed over to a sister for proper care? Was she at the point of death? I'm talking of the mother that would warrant. I mean, some people even at the point of death would rather have the child by themselves until the last moment. So why are you handing over my daughter to somebody for proper care, no matter who that person is? Taking him to medical care, what ailment was he suffering from? So I would have really wanted to hear the side of the mother's story, to be sure that she's not even an accomplice in this thing, or she's not somehow, even if not directly an accomplice, negligent. Because I mean, I'm still wondering.
Raises more questions.
Yes, how would you tell a mother, I've handed your 5-day-old to my sister to take care of? What should be your reaction? Like I said, at 13, at 20, you wouldn't have come home to my mom and tell my mom that I have handed him over to go even spend the holidays. So what does that mean? Then to the man, I don't want to believe the stories that will come now that, oh, maybe it's poverty. It is not poverty.
You don't think it's hardship?
I don't think so. Is he poor? Absolutely, he's poor.
Okay.
But I think beyond the material things, he's just not materially poor. He's mentally poor. He is poor in his mind. He is even spiritually poor. He is, in every sense of the word, everywhere you can think of poverty, the guy is really poor in every sense of the word, poor. And such kind of poverty shouldn't be tolerated in our system. Note, I'm not talking about material poverty. I'm talking about people who are totally poor, who are comprehensively poor, that he can sell his own child. 4.5 million. What is that? Convert it to dollar, you know what you're talking about. So I think he should be prosecuted and properly dealt with. I mean, saying justice should be served is putting it kindly. This kind of person ought not to have a place in society. Unfortunately, he had the privilege to sear a child. I don't want to use the word father. I may sound too harsh, but maybe it would have been better as a sperm donor, just donate it and...
Oh, but we've had women also sell their... Actually, personal experience of mine, in an area that I used to reside, you know the small talks that you just hear by your window where someone is saying stuff, and I heard about this little girl just down the close that had actually sold her child. And when I heard the story about that particular lady, she was not around for me to ask to confirm, but she came back after a few, I think maybe about a month, and you know, she was in cahoots with her partner. Didn't think they were married. I think they were just kind of living. And when they got the money for the sale of the baby, they had used it to buy a tricycle, right? And
you are giving it a baptismal name, Keke.
they had used the money to buy a tricycle. And I think I saw
Use
her,
the money to buy Keke, please. Let's call it
and I
properly.
saw her like a month or so after she was back, and I said, "Where's your baby? I knew you were pregnant for a bit." And she said, "He's not with her." And I'm like, "Where's the child?" Because she's a younger lady, maybe 18 or so. And she said, "I heard you sold your child." And she was looking at me surprised, like, "Who is this lady that normally doesn't talk to anybody?" Now, this is becoming a serious problem because this is not an isolated case. I just told you about the one that happened just right in front of my nose. I even spoke to the mother by myself. No good reason. She said the suffering was much, and they thought that if they sold that one baby, she could still have more children. So they now, move the money into investing in a tricycle so they can have.
That shows how poorly the baby was sold, because it was sold by poor parents. I mean, not materially poor. You see, there could be good reasons why a parent or both parents may give up a child for adoption.
Right.
Maybe, the situation around you, that motherly love can even force you to give up a baby for adoption.
Right.
You realize that I can't take care of that child, even in the days of the old. I mean, just a flash of thought now, akin to what Miriam and Moses' mother did, practically giving up the baby Moses for adoption to Pharaoh's daughter. And we have seen it all over Western society. That's because you realize that you can't take care of that baby. That's why I said motherly instinct, the love for the child. Instead of this child to die, let's hand him over to somebody. Or instead of this child to become nothing, let's hand him over or her over to those who can make something good out of his or her life. And when such things happen, this is not usually something the parents, whether it be the mother or the father, goes about celebrating. It's not something they do for pecuniary reasons. The only pecuniary reasons could be that I don't have one to take care of it, not because it's a transaction. Give me some money and take this baby. So I understand that when people give up a child for adoption, and usually those people who do that, because they are right-thinking people, also don't just give it to the highest bidder or the first come first serve. They consider the background of the person. They may even go as far as considering the mental health of the person they are giving the child over, to ensure that the child is properly taken care of, to ensure that the child does not move from fry pan to fire. Yeah, you're moving from me who can take care of you to a worse person. So they do some background check. They even probably take the child to an orphanage home where proper check could be done before the child is handed over and all that. And some even, find a way of keeping in touch with such a child, even from a distance, to ensure that all is well with that child. Then you also have cases where I would even respect somebody who go for surrogacy, who agree to be a surrogate mother for somebody, carry the baby, or even if you're the rightful mother of that baby, as it were. I mean, I'm talking about the egg is yours and everything, but I'll be an issue. There was an agreement that this child will be handed over to that person. This is even a different thing, even though there may be some legal issue about it. But I'll be an issue. You were not having this baby for you. You're having it for somebody else. Even if money is paid, the money may be, just to help your body recover another, but not in this case of outrightly selling a child because you need the money to invest. Because in that poor thinking, I talked about being comprehensively poor in their thinking. You think that, we can have another child and another child and another child. That's the way. If you have another child, she may also think that, we can still sell this one. Maybe instead of having one keke, we can have two keke, and keep reproducing kekes. And I mean, it's not something you want to hear that somebody did. It's terrible.
Right, now let's talk a little bit about the buyers, because it's like if there are no goods in the market, you won't have people coming over to buy. Why do you think people would rather go through the shortcut of buying this 5-month-old baby, a 5-day-old baby for 1.5 million instead of going through the legal adoption route?
I think there's something wrong with our adoption system in this country. Unfortunately, I don't have all the information about adoption. But if we have a system that, unfortunately, even the poverty we talk about is not just restricted for individuals. We have a system, a society that is largely poor. And people will point out, oh, we have these mineral resources, we have all those things. We have mineral resources, we have all the mineral resources. Yes, we are potentially rich in terms of resources, but the system has somehow remained poor because we have produced poor leaders who, even though they steal all the money, still remain poor in their mind. And it's because of that poverty, that's what leads them to kleptomaniac. They steal things they don't need and keep gathering. And if not, over these days, if you have noticed that people keep preferring this way, there should have been an effort to make people realize that instead of going through this criminal way to get a child, there is a proper way you can have a child that is not biologically yours. Right. Look at our adoption system. What is it in this process that make people not to approach this thing? Could it be ignorance? So can we create an awareness, more awareness, let people know that if you don't have a child, you can rightly adopt a child? Maybe can we even talk to these people these people go to, because, a couple who don't have a child maybe would have even approached a medical personnel to run a check on us, what is wrong with us, cancer and all that. Can we even start with this medical personnel? Let the medical, please, if people come to you and they have issues of child, please help them understand that they can adopt a child and it is better to go to this process. So I think our system has not been able to, look at this thing very well. Why is this trending? It's not enough to arrest these people and prosecute them. That's good, very, very good to arrest and prosecute them for doing that. But how do we stop this thing? Why do people prefer this way than the normal process of adoption? Even in terms of, there are so many things around this human transactional thing. You see people who would rather pay somebody to have a child for them when, not that they are donating a sperm or an egg. They just want to. Why do people really want to? Why do I want to pretend I have a child when I don't have a child? Why do I want? What's this about? Pretending you're pregnant when you're not pregnant. Then after 9 months, you show up and say you had a baby when you didn't have.
Don't you think people are succumbing to the pressure of society?
Absolutely. That's the reason I say we should actually, there are some things we should look about and ask ourselves a thorough question. What is wrong is there anything wrong in our adoption system? Is there anything we can do to make it easier for people to go through the legal process and adopting them? Why not easier may not necessarily mean compromising the standard. We can have the standard to ensure that those who take such children actually take care of them and also need them for the right purpose. But can we make it easier for people? Can we have a way of discouraging people instead of waiting for this crime to be committed and we arrest? Can we find a way of making people know that there is no need going through this route? It's easier for you to go through the adoption process. Maybe can we even introduce a medical system that makes people know that, okay, the child you want to adopt, we can help you run a test to ensure that it's healthy. Why the one you buy from the street may not have all those, I just think there is something we should do about our adoption system to make it attractive to parents who want or would be parents who need a child and can't biologically have one, than just allowing everybody go through this market and it keeps thriving and some people keep making money on it. Because beyond the legal thing, it's not moral that humans are put up on the shelf for sale, like as if they were some goods. So I think the authorities should just look around our adoption system, if there is anything we can do to make it easier and help people also understand that there is a better option.
Thank you so much for your insight on that report. 21 people have been convicted for street trading, illegal ticketing and obstructing public roads during an enforcement operation in Iyanaoba and Ojo. They were sentenced to a combined 44 months of community service by a mobile court. Task force operatives said the coordinated exercise targeted traders and transport operators who had turned pedestrian walkways and major roads into trading hubs and illegal loading points. 15 men and 6 women were arrested and their goods were seized during the cleanup. The suspects were arraigned before the mobile court, which found them guilty and ordered their sentencing authorities said the confiscated goods were forfeited to the state government under the Lagos State Environmental Sanitation Laws of 2017 and Transport Sector Reform Law of 2018. The task force chairman, CSP Adetayo Akerele, cautioned the residents against activities that endanger public safety and obstruct traffic flow. He warned that those involved in illegal ticketing, street trading, or operating unauthorized bus stops will face the full weight of the law. Now, there's 4 years in prison for
44 months.
44 months, accumulatively looking at it, that's about 4 years.
No, I don't think that's what it said for all of them jointly.
Joined together.
So they will share, it's like giving them 44 months to share among themselves.
Right. What are your thoughts on this report?
I think there is need for sanity
on
some of our roads, especially if you have gone to Lagos, this area I mentioned, the Yanoba and Ojo area. In fact, the whole of that where this Lagos Badagry rail line is being constructed. And indeed, many other places in Lagos, you see street trading. Street trading has become a menace in Nigeria. But again, like I asked concerning the child, beyond treating these symptoms, our government should also look at why some of these things exist.
Okay.
Yes. At times, it could. Now, I'm not making an excuse for the street traders, but if you also create a system here, employing education and also, making some of those people, at times you see where some of these people trade in street, their shops are available. Why are those shops not used? At times it could be that shops are expensive, but at other times it could also be that some of these people have shops,
but
somehow they come
to the
road to trade. And then on the government side, you say trading on the street is illegal. I'm happy they arrested those they call illegal ticketing. Yet you have those boys from the local government, from the LCDAs, who come to give them tickets. You can't be collecting taxes from an illegal business. You're giving it an opportunity to try. So of this arrest, I think I'm happy that the ticketers, which are largely boys from the local government, and they have some backing by the authority, whether those that are directly from the local government or community boys, some money as they would be called in Lagos. Because when you give a ticket, you are somehow legalizing that which is illegal. And those people, when people come around, and at times they really obstruct the walkway, so they feel entitled because they have paid some money to the state, to the authority, and at times too, because these guys have collected money, they stand as protection for them. So it's a multi-layered stuff. So I think the arrest is good, but beyond the arrest, I think we should have a way of cleaning up our system, making sure that bus stops are properly designated. Another quarrel I have with bus stops in Nigeria and the designation of bus stops is that at times the authorities also seems to be more interested in collecting fine money from people than to ensuring, because you see here is a bus stop today, a vehicle parks here, he was not arrested. Tomorrow, for whatever reason, that bus stop has been a common thing in Lagos. So the guy who stopped here today, tomorrow stops the same place, it's a crime. For no reason other than somebody think that let's shift it and a new catch. That's why you go to Lagos, you see most of the places where bus stops are built are not really bus stop, because bus stop has been moved a step further. Yes, the arrest is good, but government should also do things it should do on its side to ensure that some of these road traders are also victim of the system. They can't afford a shop, they can't afford any other employment other than that, quick sales and all those stuff. So as much as the arrest is good, but we should have a system where we keep cleaning up our system, making things stable and good for people, so we don't have situations where government collects tax from you for doing something illegal and turn around to say they arrest you. Just akin to what happens with Okada people and Keke people. I'm running for an election, then I give the boys Okada. Then when I'm voted into, I become the governor, I ban Okada.
Thank you so much for your insight on that report. We go on a break. When we get back, we'll continue with the rest of our reports. Please stay with us. so much for staying with us. You're still tuned in to Atlantic Television Society. Watch now the rest of our reports. Federal government has warned that it will enforce the no work, no pay policy against the Academic Staff Union of universities if the union goes ahead with its planned strike. In a statement, the Ministry of Education said the government has made multiple efforts to prevent industrial action but accused ASU of failing to cooperate. It stressed that dialogue remains the best way to resolve disputes. Officials noted that the government has continued to prioritize university staff welfare and academic stability under the Renewed Hope agenda. But it warned that the no work, no pay policy remains in force and will be applied if learning is disrupted. The government said it would ensure accountability in the use of public funds while maintaining industrial harmony in the education sector. It also urged academic unions to embrace dialogue rather than confrontation. Meanwhile, ASU has declared a total and comprehensive warning strike starting Monday, October 13th. The union is demanding the conclusion of the renegotiated 2009 agreement, payment of withheld salaries, improved funding, and an end to alleged victimization of lecturers. Other demands include outstanding arrears, settlement of promotion claims, and the release of withheld deductions. A few years ago, while I was in the university, I think we did go on strike. I was thinking it was going to be for 2-3 months. Before you realize what was going on, I've been home for 8 months, feeling like my dreams already crumbled. What are your thoughts on this report?
Striking in the university, in fact, in the workplace in Nigeria, has become. I mean, you do be surprised if after some time there was no strike. You do pinch yourself and also say, why is there no strike? What's happening? Because it's become. I see every time government try to put the blame on workers, this no work, no pay is a stale story that doesn't taste good anymore. In fact, if you say no work, no pay, maybe many of the persons in government shouldn't be getting salary. Are they working? Do they work? The Minister of Education that has education go bad under his nose, what pay should he be getting for doing what exactly? You see, some of this we have, if you hear ASU's story now, you see that ASU would have made effort, you know. And this is agreement reached as far back as 2019.
2009.
2009. What is government talking about? We are approaching 2 decades now. 2009, 2019 was 10 years.
Yes.
From 2019 to 2016 years. Yes. We are 4 years short of 20 years. And I can tell you for free, that 20 years will come, probably nothing is done. Every time they ask for implementation of this agreement, you say, let's renegotiate. How many times do you want to renegotiate? They say, and when they even come for the renegotiation, government keeps dragging her foot. Oh, we are prioritizing welfare. The truth of the matter is that story of welfare is even still, because the reason for ASU strike is not just welfare. Just like if you took a look at NME, Nigerian Medical Association, government will try to throw their welfare thing as if, oh, they are selfish, they are asking for welfare. Most of the times, it's not just welfare. You need to just take a walk to a public hospital and see the dilapidated state of things. Yeah, you need to walk into, for example, a government hospital and notice that something as simple as a laptop, most of the medical personnel don't have, except for themselves. And those who dare to have may not find the electricity to charge them. It's as simple as that. Go to our universities. Government keeps saying we've spent money, we are taking care of staff welfare. How much is this so-called welfare they're taking care of? Go to our universities, go to our classrooms. Do they look like a 2005 classroom, a university classroom? Do they look like where we are churning out people that should be leaders of, at university level? Those guys there shouldn't even be called leaders of tomorrow, because the tomorrow beckons on them very quickly. So the tomorrow is not one distant prophetic thing you're talking about. Does it look like we are prepared? So government should get up and do something right about education. They should stop this talk of no work, no pay thing. Get the problem solved. If the problems have been solved, then let's see how ASU will call for strike. This particular strike now, ASU has been on it, you know. This government came in 2003.
Right.
This government, before they came in, just like previous government, are aware that there was an outstanding ASU issue before they came in. What was their vision on how to resolve the ASU issue? If they had any, why have they not started talking about it? Is it out of place if government be the one to say, hey, has to come, let's have a negotiation on this outstanding matter. I don't want this strike to happen during my time. So what is the matter? I mean, this even before ASU
decides to
go on strike.
Yes.
Is it out of place for government to be proactive and say, let's even see this matter? There's nobody who lives in this country who don't know that ASU have had an outstanding issue. You talk about when you were in school. When I was in school also, a strike preceded our going into school. If you check our math number, we came into school 1 year after our math number. If our math number is U 2005, we came into school in U 2006. A whole session was lost. The ones that came after us skipped a year in the math number because of ASU strike. And if you look at it, the same issues for which ASU has been striking over the years is still what is going on. The government has not made any sincere effort to address those issues.
Now you've raised several salient points as regards this particular issue, and I can easily point out to many. But I want to talk to you about this angle you just came in from as regards. This has been going on for 16 years.
Absolutely.
Why do you think the strike action is called out when there is no concrete plan that the reason for the strike action has not been met?
At times, that's an error on the part of ASU. At times also, it may not be completely error. What comes to mind is the saying of the saying accredited to the late Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, he who fights and run away lives to fight another day. You may not be able to fight to finish the same time, so you fight a little. If you want to go
but
with
16 years.
If you want to go for with the wisdom of Nnamdi Azikiwe, you fight a little, you run away, so you live to fight another day. And also, at times, government is quick to whip up public sympathy. They start saying, oh, our children have been off. And because we live in a society where people largely don't understand what the issues our parents start complaining, our children have been at home. Like you said, you were at home for how many months?
For about 8 months.
8 months. At that
time,
I
did feel like my dreams are no longer valid.
Your father, your parents, whoever brothers would have started complaining, oh, your mates elsewhere have graduated. You hear stories like, oh, the female children, the female students have already gotten pregnant, have married, all sorts of things. Oh, our children, our male children have taken to criminal crime. Pressure is mounted on ASU. And then somehow they respond. Not because they are not convinced that the strike should go on, but to also show that they are humane, are sympathy to the children also. But you see, this is where the challenge lies. What we have been doing over the years, what ASU has been doing over the years, what the Nigerian system has been doing over the years, I don't blame ASU for that direction completely. It's also the pressure of Nigeria. What the system has been doing is like a person who should go through some medical procedure, and we keep complaining, oh, this medical procedure is too painful. Can't we treat some and leave some? After we continue the treatment, after some pressure, the medical doctor allows you to treat some. But between when you treat some and leave some for another time, things keep escalating and getting worse. So yes, it would have been better for us to. But the most important thing is that in other climes, they don't have to go on strike for government. Government just needs know what to do. Government set up institutions and know that they should fund this institution rather than funding them for political reasons. Is that government with education in Nigeria, and that's why we have the whole system in a mess. Check from our primary school, the government-owned primary schools, the secondary schools.
Right.
We have everything in a mess.
Thank you so much for your insight on that report. So much we need to talk about this, but this is where we wrap it up on this episode of Atlantic Society Watch. Thank you for coming on the show. Insight. Remember, we are open for sponsorship of this program, jingles and advert placements, news and events, personality, society and political interviews, product service. You can watch us live on www.atlanticnetwork TV channel 205, Limex TV platform, Ifestec platform, Apple TV, Niger TV, and Euro.